Hello, I'm Clarissa. I'm one of the curators of the exhibition See Me, See You, Early Video Installation of Southeast Asia. In this exhibition, we're looking to trace the early emergence of video across the region.
Hi everyone, I'm Jiayun, one of the co-curators of See Me, See You, Early Video Installation in Southeast Asia. And adding on to Clarissa's point, I think we really wanted to investigate, the now ubiquitous medium of video installation that has become a very commonplace in contemporary art practices today. And we wanted to look at how artists in the region of Southeast Asia began to take up video, even as it was a very unwieldy and novel medium at the time.
Yes, so our exhibition is divided into two parts. The first part, which closes on 17 September, features artworks by 5 artists. The first artist is Johnny Manahan from the Philippines, and the work included in the exhibition is his work Choose from 1982, which is the earliest video work that's in our collection and also the earliest existing work in Southeast Asia that we can find. Choose is very much, it was made more than 30 years ago, but really it's very much relevant today. Presented through a video shown on 2 televisions. The video is divided into 5 different segments, but it doesn't play simultaneously on the 2 televisions. So viewers would need to choose which video to focus on as they're watching the 2 screens. And very much today, isn't that our reality? That we have to choose which screen that we need to focus on because we're surrounded by them, every day, everywhere.
Yeah, the second work in the exhibition, which was made just 3 years after Johnny Manahan's work, is Apinan Posyananda's How to Explain Art to a Bangkok Cop, which is actually a 5-channel video installation and probably the actually second earliest video installation work that was made in Thailand. The first actually having also been made by Apinan in the same year in 85. And, the context of this work was really fascinating for us to research and understand. Apinan had actually just returned to Thailand from his studies abroad and was looking at the Thai art scene with a fresh set of eyes. And what he felt was that there were certain hierarchies in place about what would be valued as good art. And he felt that he wanted to make a kind of a critical commentary about the role of universities and also schools in determining the ways in which art was valued in Thai society. And so the title of the work is actually a kind of a tribute or homage to a work of a similar name by Joseph Beuys called How to Explain Pictures to a Dead Hair. But in this case, it kind of addresses and confronts, the Thai art scene centered in Bangkok at the time. And it features actually the filming of live chickens, roosters, and turkeys. And in this way, Apinan actually made quite a playful commentary about the fact that artists, at different stages in their careers, for example, were receptive to varying levels, to new ideas and to different kind of artistic paradigms. And it was such a stir when the work was first exhibited in Bangkok at the Birasri Institute of Modern Art, as part of a huge monographic presentation that not only included video and painted crates, but also silkscreen prints, paintings, and Xerox banners, alongside the exhibition also of 200 live chicks, 6 roosters, and 4 turkeys. So it was an absolute kind of cacophony of sound. But having the opportunity in Singapore to have displayed a few also live chicks and roosters alongside Apinan's work really allowed us to also enter and encounter the liveness of video, and the way that it simulated the experience of these chickens and chicks in the space. And moving through to, I think, the third work is also actually the earliest multi-channel video installation made in Singapore by the artist Cheng. And this was actually a 12-channel video installation that the artist first proposed as part of an open call to the National Sculpture Exhibition. And it was successfully accepted as an artwork proposal. And subsequently, Naiwi actually then proceeded to procure the equipment and also hire the 6 actors to embody the 6 form of human crises, which actually kind of surround and envelope the viewer. And it was really his way of rethinking the process of watching TV, not as a kind of a passive process, but one in which the subjecthood of the viewer could be activated and called into question. And the work, as its title suggests, Sin of Apathy, was really also about suggesting how we could be prompted to think about the world around us. And this was also Naiwi's critique of Singapore society at the time, which he felt had become increasingly preoccupied with accruing affluence and material wealth. So now I think then we will briefly introduce the artists that are joining us for this discussion today. First, we have Dr. BAHARUDIN MOHD ARUS, who is one of Malaysia's pioneering media artists, and he was interested in motors from a young age. And he's been making robotic sculptures and kinetic artworks since 1989. He participated in the Balai Seni Visual Negara's Young Contemporary Art Exhibition in 1969, 1971, 1975, and 1981. BAHARUDIN is a professor at Universiti Malaysia Sabah and has also written several papers on fine art, art education, the indigenous art of Malaysia, the art of Brunei, and Islamic art history. He received his BFA and PhD from Universiti Sains Malaysia, and his MA from the University of Tulsa, USA. And he is currently a lecturer in the Art and Design faculty at City University Malaysia.
Hello, good evening to all the curatorial team from Singapore, National Gallery of Singapore. Often let us to speak of the new because I always like to see new art. What I can see everywhere people are doing art. Of course, everybody can make art, but what the art that they make is something a wasted of time and never come to the level of international. From young to the old, everybody doing art. Art in sense of painting, art in sense of pre-making, art in sense of sketching. What else from other painting, sketching, and thing? That's why I said regulation of postmodern art in Malaysia. I'm sorry, I'm quite vocal about this. Uh, to me, I feel that my sculpture entitled Medium is the Message after Marshall McLuhan can view as a human figure capable of performing various activities and following orders. Even though it takes the form of proto-robot, my reaction to it is very sentimental and sympathetic. I feel proud and excited of doing the autonomous activity. This is what I want to convey to the public so that they would be aware of the aware and be sensitive toward machine and technology invention, which we utilize to perform work for us. Thus, we experiment physical and mental joy through our interaction with them. Therefore, I would like to tie the title of the artwork metaphorically to a quote from below poem by Paul Haviland. Man made a machine in his own image. She has limbs which act, lung, and breathe. A heart with beat, a numerous system in which run electricity. phonograph in the image of voice, a camera in the image of eye, a machine in the daughter born without a mother. I think this is something very magical. The gender idea of pertaining to contemporary debate about what art is and what is not are often in conference and seminar. Pundit voiced out in the protest against the experimental extreme artwork produced by avant-garde. The type of criticism sometimes invite negative perception, but then it can also incite positive response from artists. My robotic sculpture and video installation are proposition to society promoting to accept or read my work of art. If my work if my work are accepted and evaluated formalistic, they have the potential to carry out more impact, stimulate innovation with discipline of creativity. But of course, it should have been done in 1979. Now today, everything has proof, everything has moved so fast, and even I cannot count what performance, and what they have expect, what they have reached and proposed. I personally feel they complete empathy and profound society commentary. I create my artwork to be seen conceptually, intending to shock and provoke the audience. In my opinion, artwork that decorate the wall and please the eye of the public does not contribute to awareness and sensitivity of society. Thus, it does not achieve purpose and aspiration for modern society. With this observation, I intend to create unique form of artwork in future, uncategorized by common art genre, to attract the attention of the public to view them as a provocative art style. The gender idea of obtaining contemporary debate about what art is and what is not are often conference and seminar. I think I've repeat. The reason why my sculpture is not popular in Malaysia can be classified into three factors. The first, economic. Not many collectors and entrepreneurs are willing to finance, sponsor, acquire, or funding the sculpture and the sculpture. The second factor, religious. According to some Islamic scholars, creating living figures such as human and animal is forbidden. Thus, many Islamic artisans distance themselves from my sculpture. The practice is detailed by writing Islamic scholar. Muhammad Abdul Jabbar Berg in his book titled Fine Art Islamic Civilization. According to him, Islam discouraged painting or sculpture of human beings. He cites two of the Quran prophetic traditions such which seem to support this. Angels do not enter the house which were represented taswir or a dog, and those who would most severely punished on the day of resurrection are the maker of image restoration. This explains why art sculpture less popular than far between. But I have my own reason for doing that because I did not create a human sculpture like Picasso, Rodin, and things like that. My artwork are more on structure. My artwork are more on form and shape without any recognizable. Unlike neighbors country where culture and religion coexist and collaborate, Malaysia sees fewer emerging practice sculpture artists. This is my opinion. Malaysia has been left behind in terms of aesthetic progress development more than 50 years compared to regional countries. The fourth factor in many artists lack education and knowledge about development of international contemporary art. The lack of knowledge and awareness of global issues among artists impede creativity, and resourcefulness. There are consequences of the restriction imposed on local artists as mentioned. Therefore, my robotic video installation is a proposition to the viewer to evaluate and appreciate not only from form point of view but from importantly to investigate the history and aesthetic perspective. I intend to bring element of surprise and shock except to the definition of contemporary art is not justified by theories and concepts alone, but more by individual intuitiveness and artistic experience. The experience of artwork is measured by the impact of art ecosystem and society at large. This is why I have chosen sculpture as my forte, a medium of communication to the society because of the freedom creating sculpture and manipulation it offers. I believe the future art will incline toward three-dimensional design and sculpture over other genres because through sculpture, new artwork and new movement exist like installation art, performance art, digital art, happening, cosplay, and TV as entity will be so strong and influential. Michael Heiser, an American artist known for land art, argued that artists have been misled into thinking that they have to create something to contribute to the art. Heiser, espousing the process, say, I want to create without creating things. This opinion from the late 60s is quite clear that creating art had arrived in a complex era where the element of art and not account for instead abstract idea and concept are emphasized. Moving into new movement of 21st century, conceptual art and happening are also important in postmodern outlook. Pioneers of the movement such as Vito Acconci and Joseph Bowie have a large following around the world. Conceptual art focus more toward idea rather than presenting of artwork. The main object of this movement are the proposition of the research. Therefore, according to Daniel Burin, renowned conceptual artist, to exhibit a concept or to use word concept to signify art come to the same thing as putting the concept itself on the level with the object. This would suggest that we must think in terms of object concept. Object would be an aberration. I create sculpture in the style of constructivism and kinetic art, collaborative media art for geometric organic form so that it can connect relevant to audience way of life. However, the form of sculpture they build come from statement have been penalized. In an ideal situation among artists, the form will dominate the statement and belief if this happens, the artists are not being honest and true to the work. However, the form of sculpture that I build come from the statement have been penalized. I use motor and engine to mobilize a robotic form, discard motor and engine to reconfigure as a machine is the artwork have been done long time ago, especially by artists such as Vladimir Tatlin and John Tingley. Machine bring a lot of meaning and connotation in this modern era. Machine is also essential thing today, and even though machine does not possess life, they are indispensable to contemporary society. I cannot comprehend what would happen if machine did not exist in our world today, and civilization that we know would perish. Machine, engine, and robot are everywhere in our space around us wherever we go. Some countries dominate by machine show in Hollywood movie entitled I, Robot. Based on this assumption, I believe that crucial establish art awareness among artists to create artwork from junk and discard material of our environment, which are creating problem for ecosystem and environment. If possible, those discard materials should be collected and transformed into artwork, given a meaning, a function, and purpose to the betterment of the mankind. If we scrutinize every art movement throughout human history, they intend to enhance human life. Therefore, various art movement and address problem issue relating to polemic, disappointment, every life. According to Russian Norm Gabu, in his letter to the British critic Herbert Reed, I am offering in my art what comfort I can to alleviate the pain and convulsion of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Baharudin, for those insights.
It is my pleasure to introduce Jean-Marie Syjuco from the Philippines, a visual artist whose practice spans painting, performance, sculpture, installation, and video. She is well known for performance art and the collaborative nature of her works. She won the gold medal for sculpture in the 1980 Art Association of the Philippines annual art competition for her minimal nylon string installation titled Traps, a spatial approach to mass and insinuation. She is also a recipient of the 1990 Cultural Center of the Philippines 13 Artists Award. She is the co-founder and chief curator of Art Lab, Atelier Cesare and Jean-Marie Syjuco, a developmental art facility in Manila focused on multimedia art experimentation. Jean-Marie.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. Such an honor and a pleasure. This is the giraffe installation on the left, and the influences for this work were the following. One is ancestral homes in the Philippines in the 18th century. The picture we have here is of a home in the southern part of the archipelago in Mindanao. As you see, balusters were used to decorate the facades of homes. Um, some of these homes still exist. I mean, this is the oldest one in existence. But in the northern part, in the Ilocos region, we also have some homes that have these balusters. Next slide, please. So I use this for the neck of the giraffe and for the ossicones. The other influence would be flat carvings, such as the ones on this bed. The flat carvings, I believe there are two original ones from the 19th century, which I hammered onto I think the front of the body of the giraffe under the neck. And I think there's also one on the giraffe stand. I can't really remember anymore. I'll have to see it in person. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, here I use the balusters for the legs. And if you notice, there are hooks under the wings slash body of the giraffe. Um, these hooks are influenced by old coffee tables, which were rectangular and then with hooks under, such as the ones I used for the giraffe, so that you could expand the tabletop into a circular shape. Next slide, please. Okay, so there, the flapped carvings you can see well in this picture. The one under the neck is an original flat carving from a 19th century Belen, which we acquired from the Ilocos region as part of our small antique collection. On the right is an installation of trophies. These were actually trophies commissioned by the Art Critics Circle for the annual book awards. At that time, this was in the late 80s, the cultural center of the Philippines focused on the use of indigenous materials. So this installation was located in the hallway outside the small gallery. And these are about 8 foot tall bamboo trophies combined with abaca fiber and rattan, going through holes that were drilled on the bamboo bodies. Next slide, please. Okay, so there you see the flat wood carvings again, and then the balusters. And the other influence for this giraffe work was our Philippine jeepneys, which were the main source, the main means of transportation till very recently when they were phased out. These jeepneys made use of a lot of colored bulbs all over, usually in the interior spaces, especially on the dashboard, where there were, apart from multicolored bulbs, images of saints or little statues, together with stickers and pictures of sexy female nudes. So that's the influence of these colored bulbs that I used inside the giraffe. Um, Audience participation is part of this work. Um, Viewers could open the lid and analyze the interior. Buzzer or ringing doorbell goes off when you open the lid, so that or to signify uh, some kind of disturbance, because the baby giraffe is actually still incubating during this period. And then, apart from this, may I have the next slide, please? Oh, sorry, back to the former slide, please. I forgot to mention, you see there's a stand there, which is influenced by circus stands, where elephants or seals perform in circuses. So this was something that I had remembered from my childhood days. And also, I received a gift from Santa Claus when I was a kid, which was of an elephant performing on such a stand. Air would An air jet would shoot out of the elephant's trunk, and a ball would move over the elephant's trunk. And that was my favorite toy for the longest time. So I guess that stuck with me. And when I did this work, I wanted the viewer to be the performer also. Um, what else? Audience participation too, because you could open that uh, part of the face of the giraffe with a star and converse with the giraffe, which um, would actually talk back to the viewer. So in this work, I have succeeded in making the viewer the performer too. And then oftentimes I'm asked, see me, see you. Uh, who are you referring to? Actually, the very first meaning of see me, see you was the giraffe is speaking. So the giraffe is saying, this is how I see you. So when the audience steps on this platform and peeps through that peeper there on the nose of the giraffe, the lens is a convex lens, and so it shows the feet of the viewer as though they are far away, the way a giraffe sees people's feet all the time, because in on average giraffes are between 14 and 20 feet tall. So the other title, Revenge of the Giraffe, kind of alludes to this giraffe getting to get the viewer to experience what he experiences. So revenge is used in a poetic sense. Um, Revenge of the giraffe. Now you see your own feet as though they're far away. That's how I see your feet and everybody else's feet all the time. So there, that's one of the audience participatory things about this work. This leads me to other works in the 80s that required audience participation. On the left is, oh, okay, the front view. This is a work in the round. It's called Saribonga at Lamang Loob, translated into um, mixed, how do you say bonga? Flamboyant, colorful, etc. Um, Saribonga, and lamang loob means intestines or what's inside. Okay. Now, this work again is influenced by the Philippine jeepney. So we see bright colors, colored bulbs. Again, we see the influence of the balusters used in facades of homes. And also, the checkered pattern is influenced by my seeing jeepney drivers and a lot of other sidewalk vendors, homeless people, late night, what we call standby. We call it in Filipino, in slang, tanbay. You know, the boys who hang out in little alleys playing checkers late at night. So anyway, if you peep through, this is the side view where the checkerboard is. If you peep in there, you see the bottom picture, which is the kind of like a close-up, a zoom in of the dashboard of a jeepney, which has a mixture, as I had mentioned earlier, of colored bulbs, sampaguita flowers, that's our national flower, which are usually offered to saints, that are also present on the dashboard, like little statues or stampitas or framed images of saints, along with a lot of stickers of nudes. So that's what you see. On one side, you see Jesus Christ with the blood dripping down his face. From the other side, you see the Blessed Virgin Mother. So it's also like a poetic parallel of mother and child in a very strange way. Like the way the words um, connect with the mother and the child is also similar to um, how the images of the nude women and the holy saints are related on the dashboard of the jeepney. So, peeping into these two sides makes the audience experience that deeper feeling, which is also the experience of a passenger on a jeepney, um, especially at the point where mini skirts were the fad. You know what I mean. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, on the left, we have the talking booth, which was in an exhibition at the CCP called Story, Fantasy, and Mythology. This was an 8-foot tall, bright blue box, which was influenced again by hinged furniture. So the top is held up by hinges. That would provide for me, I was inside, some ventilation. And there was an intercom system which connected the viewer and me. The viewer could ask me questions or request me to read from storybooks. So, story, fantasy, mythology. Um, what else can I say about this? The stool, again, is made of balusters, made with a wood lathe machine. And wood lathes are also close to my heart because I learned how to operate a wood lathe in my Shop 7 class at the UP. Shop 7 was a requirement for all engineering students. So I actually knew how to make my own shapes. And that stayed with me till the present day. On the right, I have my egg boxes. These were part of a series of magic boxes using mirrors and eggs. The audience participation here happened with a simple opening and closing of the box. So again, we have the hinges, and that egg on the left in the bottom picture, the half egg, connects with the other half in the back of the wood box. Just like the egg on the right connects with the half egg on the front of the box. Next slide, please. Okay, the one on the left, the picture on the left shows a room-size installation of two-sided paintings. Well, actually, they're painted all over, even the edges. These are not framed. These are plywood paintings. On one side, the surface was painted with color fades. On the other side, the painting was black. And then in the middle were peepers. So the installation could be viewed as one whole thing. At the same time, one could also look through the peeper at the center and see what I call potential photographs. These potential photographs were like very nice compositions that included nylon string, the texture of the floor, reflections from the gallery lights, some light coming from the outside, from the parking lot, through the glass walls, which you see on the left of the photo on the left. And then weaving through the nylon strings, which were all over the place, was also part of the audience interaction with the work. At the same time, if you notice, I had removed some of the acoustic paneling on the ceilings. This allowed me, the picture on the right is the second floor above the picture on the left. This allowed me to connect picture 1 and picture 2, to connect the ground floor with the second floor, because I was given permission to bore holes on the wooden floor to connect the spaces virtually. So on the second floor, I have a room size complex nylon installation. Next slide, please. I just want to refer. Okay, this slide on the left is just parallel triangles of nylon strings coming from two sides meeting this way. So slanted triangles. I wish I had drawn it, but anyway, this was the piece that won for the sculpture category of the Art Association of the Philippines in 1980. It won a gold medal for sculpture. It was actually an installation of triangles that were parallel to each other from within one cubicle. And then you could hardly see them except when lit like this. In fact, the AAP got the best we had to photograph this work, but anyway, this is what we have in the book. Please go back to the former slide. Okay, so that installation, that was from 1980, I think, or early 80s, led to this, which is mid 80s. This one is like the whole room. At the center of the cone-shaped nylon installation on the right picture is a blue rose, that a long-stemmed blue rose, hand-painted by me, which grows from under the floor up like that. The influence of this blue rose, and it's still with me till today, as in my heart of hearts, is the blue rose of The Thief of Baghdad. The Thief of Baghdad, which was my favorite movie growing up, about the search for the blue rose to provide the cure for the princess. And a lowly thief of Baghdad was able to, how's this? to find that blue rose somewhere far, far away after so many adventures, obstacles, etc. And he ended up marrying the princess because the king had promised that whoever could bring back that blue rose, which would heal the princess, would marry her. So that is the background of that blue rose. Again, the peeper, which I used in the giraffe of 1986, was very prominent in this installation. And I think it's the wall on the right, had peepers installed on the walls, leading to a third gallery space, which is where I had my bedroom. My bed was there. People could peep at me, sleeping, eating, etc. So, similar to the installation of the giraffe at the National Gallery Singapore, spaces were connected via the peepers. In the case of the National Gallery Singapore and Pinaglabanan Galleries, which is where I first showed the giraffe, the interior gallery space and the exterior space in Pinaglabanan, that was the garden. In National Gallery Singapore, it's somewhere in the front area of the museum. The video camera connected the spaces. Now, the use of video in this particular exhibit, Sleeper Peeper in 1985, was twofold. First, there was a black and white TV screen, which was turned on with all the snowy thing showing, and put close to the peeper, such that when you peep into the peeper, what you see are really colored patterns, similar to what happens when you use a kaleidoscope. And then the second use of video was to video people interacting with the exhibit, and also the closing night was a performance evening where the video followed people around doing their performances and such.
Jean Marie? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just to clarify, I remember that I clarified this with you before, that
Yeah.
the television in the sleeper exhibition, that did not have video, right? Am I wrong for misunderstanding?
It did not
Right?
have video.
So it wasn't actually video, it was just television.
Yes, it was television. It was television without an image, just a television turned on, a black and white television turned on with the snow.
So then the
Without-
video, yes. So then the video element is the one that was in the performance, the documentation.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Yeah. Okay. Just to clarify.
It's me. Well, sorry, but when I think of video, even
You think of television.
a TV that's on is already video to me, because it's in motion. It's not a photograph. It's already. I mean, I don't think of the camera. I think of, I also think of the image moving. That's already video to me.
Thank you so much, Jean-Marie and Dr. Baharudin, for your sharing. And now we have some questions for the both of you.
Yeah, so I think, Jean-Marie, this is something you already also mentioned in your presentation, but I think it's good to also have a recap on how you see video in relation to your artistic practice? Like, what initially attracted you to use video?
Like I said, from the Sining Kamalig installation in 1985, um, what was in my mind already as video was whatever I'd see moving on a TV screen. Okay,
Okay.
so there I used it already that way, and in the documentation of performance. So I continue to use video in the documentation of performance. In fact, I videoed um, decades worth of performances and art shows and all that. Uh, Eventually, this will form a very important small library. We are already using video, well, not I, my children, uh, because I personally use video for documentation purposes, and
But
also for the documentation of my performances. Other people manipulate the videos to create video art pieces.
yes, but you've also, I understand you also see it that it also can be more than documentation, like in
Yes,
how you used it in your work in our exhibition, See Me, See You, as
yes,
integrated as part of the installation.
yes. Video is actually to connect spaces, to connect viewer and the viewer and numerous people, now that we have cell phones, for the instant communication of the images, transmission of the images. Um, Also, the performer is shown by the video as a performer, and then the video transmits to the world the performance of actually the audience. This refers back to a performance I did, Puting Uwak, which is White Crow. Usually a crow, well, 99% of the time, I just recently found out there already are white crows. Usually a crow is black. And so I named the performance White Crow because the audience was already part of the performance when the audience was ushered in by usherettes in Philippine costumes through all the maze-like structures of the CCP onto the stage. And when the curtains opened, I performed where the seats were. So the video, Nick De Ocampo, who was the head of our Moel Fund Institute of Film, was one of those videographers on stage who was also part of the performance. And at the same time, his video footage, together with that of others, um, could be worked on by artists or whoever who wanted to create either a summarized version of the performance or a totally different video work using the images of whatever footage there was.
Well, your artwork, which is the automaton, it moves around the gallery space and it moves into the personal space of the audience rather than the audience moving towards the artwork. So how
Yeah.
do you think this affects or changes the dynamic between the artwork and the audience?
That's what I really want. My
Okay.
aim is to see that my artwork mingle with the public.
Oh,
Other one,
wonderful.
my sculpture is like,
To be
exhibition
static. Yeah.
and uh, a viewer. I want them to play with it, be involved in it, and explore. That's what art is all about. You have to explore. We don't have some sort of special program whereby the artwork is over there and I'm looking at this side. It won't work with me.
I think while we have you and Dr. Baharudin on screen, we'd want to just ask you a few questions about how your artworks kind of might speak to each other. And yeah, Clarissa will open with a question first.
Yeah, so your works are made within 3 years of each other. Did you notice more artists exploring video in Southeast Asia or even in your own countries? Or did you feel like you were kind of like isolated cases at that time?
I like to use that medium because that's the only medium that not many people dare to touch or dare to play with. Even though we know quite a few artists in Malaysia have done uh, quite a good work regarding the animation and things like that, but still I didn't see a very serious work, hard work, only just a playful like uh, just to some sort of experimental. Yeah, I wish many more artists in Malaysia explore, jump in on the bandwagon and start something new, some sort of revolution. I think that is very good. That I hope it will work. Not only in Malaysia, maybe in Thailand, maybe in Philippines, and also, nevertheless, even Singapore. Thank you.
Thank you. Jean Marie?
Well, during that time, we didn't have cell phones, and we were not really part of the what you call the mainstream. So we kept to ourselves, and we were not really informed about what most of the other artists were doing. So whatever interest we had in video was very personal to us. It was only later on that we found out, because we became friends, that let's say Joey Macalino, God bless rest his soul, um, was also doing video works. Uh, and then Johnny Manahan, I wasn't even aware until you had given me material on him. But today, with all of the good effects of social media, at least we get to know what artists from all over are doing. But as of that time, the 80s, um, we were not really informed. We just did what was close to our heart. It so happened um, that was video was something that was accessible to us only when we already had our Betacam did we start using video.
Thank
Okay.
you. Yeah.
If I look into my work, I'm more serious than the other artists maybe. For example, John Manahan, the one who did so who's a long neck? She's the one who did that,
Yes, the giraffe work is
the
by
giraffe
John
work.
Marie.
I really appreciate that work. Though it looks simple, but then the thinking into the work is very good.
Oh,
something I really envy.
thank, thank you so much. It's just very close to me because I'm a mommy of 5 children. And at that time, I was a mommy of a baby. And that baby is now doing video art, video
But that
art
work,
performance painting.
but if that is your work, I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Likewise.
deep in my heart,
Likewise. And you
a lot of
know,
a lot of thinking that you use into that installation. It look
thank
like
you.
playful. It look like an easy thing, but actually it's not an easy thing. It's a very serious thing. Thank
Thank
you
you
very much
coming
for
from you.
manage
That's such an
uh,
honor. Thank
for
you.
manage to produce something good, especially in Southeast Asia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And thank you to you as well. You know, your work resonates with all of us, I think, in the whole world
Hmm.
today, especially with social media and cell phones.
Thank you.
I mean, there's the cloud. All our secrets are there. We are being watched from all over. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
you are a visionary.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's great that I think both of you have heard a little bit more about each other's works and come to such a wonderful understanding. And interestingly, on this topic of surveillance, on this idea of constantly being invigilated, both your works actually do make use of a live feed. And could you share more about the intentions of its use? Jean-Marie, I believe you talked about it connecting spaces earlier. And was this, you feel, to evoke, a feeling of surveillance, or maybe even to, challenge the notion of an artwork by making the audience an active part of the work? Yes.
Go ahead.
Dr. Baharudin?
You want me to answer?
Yes, please.
Yes. Please.
Yeah. My artwork is more very serious in the sense of safety. That's
Mm,
why I don't give more space for safety because
mhm.
safety is very important. And furthermore, I base on the idea of um, Marshall McLuhan that communication is very important. Without communication, human being cannot build their civilization. With civilization, communication play important role. One part of
Yes.
the communication that uh, Marshall McLuhan has stated long time ago, before I even know what it's all about, in his paper, in his book. After I have read the book, Ray Lagambak have explained to me, and I think it's something that I have a bright idea about what it's all about. Thus, any artist want to be very serious, they have to go back to book, they have to go back to journal, they have to go back to intellectual uh, forefront and try to play with a new style, new uh, work that you feel is something new that you can carry on forever. That's what I think about it.
Thank you, Dr. Baharudin. And yes,
Yeah.
John Marie, I think earlier in your sharing, you talked about this idea of the peeper connecting and allowing sight lines through spaces that might not be otherwise connected. So was this also very much part of the thinking behind incorporating a live feed camera into See Me, See You?
Yes. Actually, as Dr. Baharudin has mentioned, um, it is very important also for us to read books, magazines, whatever. So at our disposal in the early 80s were several art books, one of which was Art and Visual Perception by Rudolf Arnheim. And this was a book close to my heart because I was um, an engineer. And this thing about this statement of his, the drawing of a single line is full of adventure, really struck me and stayed with me to the present day, which is why many of my installations use the actual sentence, the drawing of a single line is full of adventure. Um, this single line, you can see through the giraffe work, connects the mommy giraffe to the baby giraffe, then to the audience, and then the audience is being viewed by a video camera. Then the video camera is transferring the image to the garden or to the monitor, and then out into the world. You know, it's all these lines, similar also to the nylon string installations that I have done. So these are also lines. These lines are lines of communication, as Dr. Baharudin has mentioned. Communication is really the key.
Wonderful.
I
Yeah.
hope you are very creative. You are very creative, and I hope you continue more work on that level. For what
Oh,
I
thank
see
you.
that you have
Thank you.
done, I really like that your work.
Oh,
Sincerely,
thank
I
you
like it.
so much. Likewise. Thank you. What an honor. I
Yeah.
can I can already retire after hearing you say it.
No, please don't retire, Jean-Marie. Yeah, so I have a follow-up question as both your works use technology, in this case video, to send a message to your audiences. And the messages themselves are, quite humanistic in nature. So I'd like to hear more about your thoughts on the relationship between humans and technology. Is it something that could be exploitative, or is it a symbiotic relationship? How do you view the relationship between humans and technology, and how is that related to your artistic practice?
Collaboration between human being and metal and sculpture and machine have been long time ago. Even before the independence, few artists play with machine, but in a small term. But later, when few artists have been sent overseas and they get education from overseas, America, England, and things like that, they come back and they start building uh, machine and collaborate with human being. Like what we see today, a lot of robot, a lot of machine, they've been used in hospital, in every part of our life being done by the artist as a prototype. Thank you.
Um, well, it's man who created technology, and technology serves man, but technology can also um, victimize to a certain extent, like what is happening to us through social media. Some people do not realize the the negative aspects of social media on our lives. But of course, everything is always positive and negative. It's up to man to choose the the good over the bad.
Of course,
Uh,
there is pro and contra.
yes,
But then we are human beings. You are the one. We are the one who should control
yes,
whatever happen. Uh,
yes,
we are the one who should control. I
yes.
think that's part of the human knowledge and human
Yeah.
wiser. We cannot leave it to anybody or any Dick and Harry who can do whatever they like.
Yes, yes, I agree. Mhm.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, yeah, I think
Yeah.
that wraps up our questions for the both of you.
Yep.
Thank you very much for joining us today to hear the conversations with Dr. Baharudin Mohd Arus and Jean-Marie Syjuco. We hope you'll join us for part 2 of the exhibition, which opens on 13 October 2023 with 5 new artists and installations.
These 5 artists are Harry Dono, Vincent Liao, Ray Langenbach, Krishna Murthy, and Hasno Sidon. See you there.
See you!